Welcome back guys, this is Benito and this is my third tutorial on Matlab. So in this tutorial I'm going to teach you how to plot graphs on Matlab. So let's start by opening up Matlab and we'll create a new script file and we'll start with a comment %sign, so we'll say this is tutorial 3 plotting graphs. Okay, so we'll start by defining x. So x is values from 1, starting from 1, going up in steps of 1 all the way up to 100. So let's try and run this. We'll call this T3. And when you run this, you can see Matlab has created the variable x, and it contains values starting from 1 going all the way up to 100 in steps of 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all the way up to 100. So we'll now say y. So let's plot a simple graph of y equals x plus 1. So x plus 1. So when we run this, Matlab is going to simply take each element from x, each element from here, and then add 1 to it. So you can see for the first value, when x equals 1, y equals 2, when x equals 2, y equals 3, and so on, all the way up to 100, when x equals 100, y equals 100 plus 1, 101. So now that Matlab's got all the data, what we can say is to plot the graph, simply type in plot, and then x, comma, y. So let's plot this. And you can see the graph of y equals x plus 1. Now to make this look a bit more nicer, we can add a grid. And to add a title, you can simply type in title, and then in parentheses with quotation marks, you can type in graph of y equals x plus 1. To add a x label, you can type in x label, and similar to the title, you can type in x, and y label, as you probably guessed, it's y label, and you can type in whatever you like there in quotation marks. It can be single quotation marks or double quotation marks, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so let's try and run this, and you can see the title is here, the x label and the y label, and the grid is here as well. Now let's say I want to only see the values from 0 to 50 on the x-axis and 0 to 50 on the y-axis. So we can use a function called axis. We'll do parentheses, and you have to add in square brackets inside the parentheses, and the first two numbers are the lower and upper values of x-axis. So we'll say we want to start from 0 on the x-axis and go up to 50 in the x-axis, and the next two values, you probably guessed, it's the y values. So we want to go from 0 all the way up to 50 in the y-axis. So let's give it a try and see. Okay, so it goes from 0 to 50. So x-axis is 0 to 50, y-axis is 0 to 50. Let's try 0 to 60, or just to make it a little more interesting, 66. So you can see this goes from 0 all the way up to 66, and this is 0 to 50. Okay, so now let's say I want to plot another graph on top of the same graph. So we can type in, so let's say I want to do a plot of y equals 2x plus 1. So what we can do is we'll say y1 equals 2 times x plus 1. And we have to type in plot and x comma y1. This time we want to plot x comma y1. Now if we try to run this, what you will get is the graph of y equals 2x plus 1, and what's happening is Matlab is only plotting the last line of code. And to solve this problem, what we can do is simply type in hold on. So what that is saying is, so if we type in hold on anywhere after this plot, then it will hold the graph, hold this graph and then plot. And then plot this graph on top of the previous graph. So let's see. So you can see it's plotting the two graphs, and it's also keeping the previous axis values. So we'll just get rid of the axis values because we'll just let Matlab decide what to do with the axis, and you can see both graphs are displayed. Now let's say to make it a little more clearer, we can add a legend. So to add a legend, simply type in legend, and the first graph is x plus 1, and the second graph is, in quotation marks, 2x plus 1. Let's try running this. So you can see a small legend has shown up here at the top, which shows the blue line is x plus 1 and the orange line is 2x plus 1. Okay, so let's try and do something a little more interesting. So let's say I want to change the color of x plus 1. I want this to be blue. So what you can do is add a comma and then in quotation marks type in B. So this changes the color to blue. And now let's say I want it to be dashed lines instead of a straight solid line. So simply add in 2 dashes after the B, and this will change the line to a dashed line. Okay, so let's go to this particular plot, and let's say I want this to be black, and the letter for black is K, and let's say I want it to be plotted with asterisks. So you just simply type K and then asterisks, and then let's try running it. So you can see it's plotted with asterisks. To find out all the different colors, what you can do is type in help and then plot, and this will show you different colors that Matlab has. So it's got blue all the way up to green, red, cyan, magenta, white, and then you can use all these types of markers, for example, and you can choose what color you want and what marker that you want to use in your graph. So I think I'll wrap it up here. I hope that that was clear and you've learned something new. In the next tutorial, I'll continue with plotting graphs, but I'll show you something a little more interesting, and maybe we'll use these functions here, which changes the marker edge color, marker face color, and the marker size, for example. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and subscribe to learn more, and I'll see you in the next one.